I learned tennis because of my grandmother. My father was a terrific football player, several sport athlete at Moline High School in Illinois, all-state football player, but he became disabled through football. And his mom, my grandmother, decided at about age 10 for me, maybe age 11 at the latest, that she was going to lobby real directly to have me learn a sport that was not going to have as high a likelihood of hurting me and making me unable to play sports for the long haul of life. So she started trying to sell me on the idea of going to the park board lessons down at Riverside Park in Moline, Illinois. And the capstone of her lobbying effort was showing me a picture of the King of Sweden, age 83, King Carl Gustaf III, in long pants and long flannel shirt, out there playing tennis. For some reason, it made a huge impression on me because I realized, well, you can play this game your whole life. And that stuck with me. I went to the park board, and it just came naturally to me to play. It went easily. I'd never played tennis before. No one in my family had either. But for some reason, I felt at home out on the court from the very start. So I thank my Nana very much for giving me that boost to begin it. My first tennis exhilaration, other than just going to those lessons and feeling like, wow, this would be fun to play the game, was a clinic that Dr. Don Klotz, the legendary coach from the University of Iowa, gave in either 1959 or 1960. So I was age 10 or 11, and quickly saw that people could be really good at this game and that there were steps to getting there. He was a wonderful teacher and took it upon himself, really at his own expense, to travel all around Iowa and the adjoining cities in Illinois, and no doubt in Missouri and Nebraska too, because he really roved the state, to make tennis accessible to people who otherwise wouldn't have a chance to learn fine points of the game. He wrote a very short book called Tennis, Keep It Simple, which came through as a message in his clinics. And I felt like, gosh, I don't have to be a member of a country club or take private lessons. I can learn how to do this. So coming to Iowa as a coach, I came to a school that didn't have a tennis team. It was a brand new school. It was Maharishi School in Fairfield, 1981. I wanted to have a chance when we had enough years of people graduating to qualify for having a tennis program. And in 1988, spring season began. And so it'll be the 23rd year now, coming up in 2010. And it's been a great run. The day after I graduated from Moline High School in 1966, I started teaching tennis. There had been a dormant time of no park board recreation lesson programs for about 5 years up until that moment, and some mothers of little kids who saw my local success in the Quad Cities as a player said, could you organize some summer tennis lessons? And we had 4 or 5 parks, and I was too ignorant to know I should have been scared, and therefore I said, sure, we'll do it. And so we organized, I picked 10 people, organized them, and we taught 500 kids in an 8-week summer tennis lesson program. Nobody got hurt. Several people from that group of kids went on to play college tennis, and a few of them become coaches and teaching pros. So it was a great experience, and I loved it. It was so much fun, both the being on court and the organizing, teaching the teachers how to teach, teaching the kids how to play, and organizing the lesson curriculum. And I realized that was the seed form of this entire career. I've done many other things since, and I love classroom teaching, but I have to say that my first full-fledged, got to have this experience some more, came in teaching tennis. My wife and I were founding faculty of Maharishi School in 1981. We had 32 children, mostly faculty children from the university, which had been established there in 1974. And it was an experiment to see if a high school could be a traditional college preparatory school with an additional layer of having transcendental meditation technique, getting rid of stress before the morning classes began, and in the afternoon, after the afternoon classes, before sports or before the homework of the night. It was an experiment, and from the very start, it was one that yielded great results. In the first 5 years of our school, 85 to 90% of our graduates were accepted to accredited colleges, accredited four-year schools. And that gave us the right in 1987-88 to begin having speech and drama and begin having sports programs, including tennis. So it was fun kind of be pioneers. It is the name of our school teams. They're the pioneers. To start off, really to begin a school from scratch. And we felt confident, based on the success that the university had had already, that it would work for teenagers. And it really has. Our kids have done so well academically. And, you know, as we're saying today, they've done pretty well in tennis, too. One coach has been there the whole time we've had a team, and I'm sitting here telling the story. But it's also true that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village of tennis players to get some champions produced. And it's certainly been the case that we have an enthusiastic adult and recent, you know, kind of new to the game crowd of tennis players who've stayed with the game over the past couple decades. So there's an entire community of tennis players going on to help encourage the kids. What that's resulted in, it's fair to say, is it's very gratifying. There are 16 state champions, 4 for the team, 7 for singles, 5 for doubles. We've played in the state championship match in singles, doubles, or team tennis a total of 24 times in the 22 years that we've been there. And there'd be 66 possible events during those 23 years that were for state champions. So that's a good rate of progressing to the final match of the season. I like to think that you know, our players have learned well. I'm not the only teaching pro in town. State law, of course, you know, regulations forbid me to work with my players during the year. I just teach the little kids. For the past 23 years after school, I've taught little kids tennis lessons. I use big foam balls with tiny little rackets and low nets to give them a chance to feel what it's like to be out on a tennis court and have some success hitting a tennis ball, and hope that they like it long enough and well enough to stay with it down the line. So that, if you want to look at it from the outside in, has been the formula for having what really is the smallest school in the state that has a tennis team, nonetheless do pretty well. I've been asked, you know, why I haven't gone on to greener pastures, and I say this pasture is mighty green. I like the fact that we're in a school that is chosen by the people who go there, the people who work there, and the people who attend. So there's birds of a feather flocking together. I think that's true of every private school and perhaps every parochial school. But what makes it especially distinctive, and I think magnetic for me to stay at Maharishi School, is that shared experience, not just on the tennis court or in the classroom, but the shared experience of silence, the shared experience of restful alertness twice a day. I enjoy it, the parents enjoy it, the children enjoy it, and we enjoy it together. There's something to be said that, you know, the phrase, the wholeness is greater than the sum of the parts. The whole is much greater. In this case, there's an amplified appreciation and an amplified understanding and an amplified experience of all that life has to offer when that shared value includes the silence as well as the dynamism of the day. I've taught in public schools, I've taught in parochial schools, and I've taught in this private school, Maharishi School. What I noticed is the alertness for what I put forth as a teacher, whether it's in my classroom in world history or on the tennis court, the alertness and receptivity and the wakeful kind of preparedness for what I have to say and what I have to give is much higher when the players or the students in my classroom have gotten rid of their fatigue and strain before coming. And so without any question at all, because I've taught 15,000 people how to play tennis, for example, and by now it's clear to me that the ability to take in what I have and use it for growth is much higher when the players, the young players, have meditated, when they've gotten rid of the fatigue and tension, when they've gotten rid of the tiredness that clouds their perception. It makes a huge difference on what they can retain. So it's win-win as far as I'm concerned. I enjoy it myself to meditate twice a day, and when my students are also meditating, we grow together. I can give more, and they can receive more and use that for growth.